Live Car Chronicles. I am testing going live. I tried going live 3 times last week, and I was only successful once by using um, a secondary app. And you have to excuse me because I am driving and I'm trying to be safe. There we go, in traffic. So I thought I would come on and see if I could actually go live from the car. And I don't see anybody in the chat. Hoping I get someone in there. But this is a random test of using my phone to go live. So I hope I get someone in the live today. It's not going to be long. As I mentioned, it's just a random car chronicles. I'm just leaving the gas station and I'm trying to make it home. I left work not long ago, but it is almost spring here. This week is my last frost date. I can't remember what day. Sometime this week is my last frost date. Yesterday was daylight saving time, and y'all, let me tell you, I happened to check my watch and realize it was after 7 and it was still bright outside, and I was giddy. I was crazy giddy. Only a gardener does stuff like that, right? If you're entering into the room, do me a favor. I cannot see anyone in the chat because I'm driving. This is a Car Chronicles. It's a test of me trying to figure out how to go live while I'm driving. So do me a favor, hit that thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. But yes, it was after 7 and it was bright outside. So I was so giddy. My goodness. I just don't know what to do with myself now that we have more daylight. Are you all feeling like that? Did you do anything special in your garden this past weekend? I didn't do a lot. I did do a little bit. I have, of course, spring flowers, spring bulbs popping up, and I put in the ground I don't even know when it was. It might have been spring. I put some canna lily bulbs, 2 different varieties of canna lily bulbs in my garden. I have 2 separate gardens on the side of my house. One I call the cut flower garden and one I call the memorial garden. And they have 2 different color canna lilies in it. And I noticed that they are beginning to emerge and they are not where I originally put them in the ground. So I ended up digging up roughly 20 or so yellow, I think they might be Piscano. I have to check my documentation. Canna lily bulbs. They're big, they're beautiful, they're yellow. They have, I think, some rust colored spotting. They're beautiful. So I dug those up. I will be putting some of those on my Etsy store. So if you all are interested in looking at those, or if you're interested in those at all, my Etsy store is in my description box below, as well as on in my bio. I did put a link there. So welcome to the room. Hello, hello, hello. I am in the car. This is a random car chronicles. I've been trying to figure out how to go live. I did that last week 3 times, and 2 times was a lesson learned. I thought I was live and I was not. I had a content creator call me and go, "Girl, are you trying to go live? Because I think you might be struggling." And I was. So I was able to successfully do the 3rd live and I was able to get that going. And so today I said, okay, I'm in the car, I'm driving home. Let's see if I can actually make this work from the phone. So I can't see any of my messages, but if you're sending me love, hello, hello, everybody. I'm happy you're here. Don't forget to hit that like button, leave me a comment, talk to one another. Do me a favor, tell me where you are coming from, what zone you're in. You don't have to tell me the city, tell me the state, tell me what grow zone you are. Are you also warm? The car is telling me it is 77 degrees. It feels great. It was kind of chilly in my office. It's been kind of chilly. They turned their air conditioner on because it's hard to have a happy medium when you work in an office full of 1,000,001 people. We have hundreds of people in my office now. We have roughly 180 people that have nowhere to sit. They're homeless, so they're roaming. looking for places to sit. We have temporary locations uh, that they're looking to plug into. It's mad chaos some days, but the air conditioner is freezing, so I'm dressing like it's still cold outside, but y'all, I'm burning up. I'm hot. I'm so ready to take off everything, the sweater and the vest, because I dress for the office and not for outside. But again, thank you very much for joining me today. I'm so happy to see. I can see there. I have like, I think 4 people in the chat today. I'm talking about just car chronicles, random stuff. It's spring. I'm preparing for spring, and I noticed yesterday that it was after 7 and the sunlight was still up in my area, and normally at 6:30 it's dark. So I'm asking you, what are you all doing to prepare for your spring? Have you done any winter sowing? Have you gotten out and cleaned your gardens out? Are you gardening? What are you growing? That's what I'm talking about. I am trying to grow a lot of different things, and I have placed a lot of different videos out on my channel regarding what I've been sowing over the winter. I have actually moved my seedling babies from the garage greenhouse as of yesterday and put them in the black greenhouse in the backyard so that they can get some acclimation to the outside temperatures. Because, as I mentioned, if you're just now coming into the room, it is warming up here, and my car is telling me it's 77 degrees. And I checked the temperature yesterday for the week, and we've got about 3 days this week where the temperature drops down into the 40s, but it is beginning to rise in the 70s, and we're also going to hit some low 80s. So I think I see somebody saying they're in hell. Okay, does that mean it's warm where you are, or you're just not happy with the conversation that I'm talking about? If it's the conversation, you're more than welcome to leave the chat. It's okay. But we're talking about spring and what we're growing. So, what are you all growing? Are you growing anything? I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm at a stoplight. A stoplight. Let's see. So I have some people in the chat who are not serious about talking about gardening. And if you're here to heckle, you're more than welcome to leave. We're not here to be rude or unpleasant in any way. You can bow out if that's what you choose to do, but we're here to be kind to one another and be respectful. We're not talking about hell or dying, because that's real. People die every day. Someone died today. So we're not going to joke about death. So thank you. You're more than welcome to leave the room. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, we're talking about the spring and what we're growing in our garden. And I'm not going to give you any more of my talking points. So like I mentioned, you can leave. And you know who I'm talking about. And if you don't, it appears that your name is either Sands or Saints. Either way, goodbye. We're going to be nice to people over here. There's enough nastiness in the world. We don't need it here. So, gardening. What are you growing? Hello, everyone. Speak to everyone. Say hey to everybody. Tell me where you're hailing from. I'm in zone 9A. It used to be zone 8B, and they have changed all of that. So that tells me that it's warmer in my area. And I do believe that, because it is 77 degrees right now, and we're going to have 70s and 80s this week. And by Wednesday, it looks like the temperature says we're not going to have any lower temperatures past 45. It looks like 45 is the last that we're going to have, probably this Wednesday. And then we're just going to shoot up from there. I'm hoping that we get some rain this spring. Living in South Texas, we always have a drought. And so every year, we can guarantee that we're going to run out of water. Are you all able to collect rainwater or harvest rainwater in your area? It's actually illegal here in Texas to gather rainwater to feed your plants, but they have been talking more about people growing their own food and raising their own chickens. So that is a conversation that's being had, which I'm happy to see that. There used to be a time in United States where we had something like victory gardens, and if you're not sure what that is, I recommend that you Google that. We all used to, well, not everybody, but many people used to grow their own food. And I think we should get back to that as much as possible. I know many people can't do that because they don't have the space, the time, or the temperament. And you need all those things if you're going to grow food. Because I can be successful in one thing and turn around and not be successful in something else. But it all has to do with space, time, temperament, um, fertilizers, many different things. Oh my goodness, we're going to have an accident here. Okay, drivers. I don't understand that. I'm watching someone cut across lanes and they're now kitty corner across the lane and the light's red, so now no one can drive because we're all sitting at a red light. I'm trying to read the chat. I'm sitting at a red light. Let's see. I'm doing better. I don't know if you've watched any of my past videos. I had an incident with both of my knees. I have a tear in both of my MCLs, but they're healing, and I am feeling a lot better. Less pain. My energy level is coming back. I'm able to get out and do a few more things. So I'm feeling good. How are you doing, Johnny? I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be able to do the things I do and see the people that I see. I don't think I've ever seen Matt Powers. I'll have to Google that when I get home. Microbiology and yes, regenerative farming. I do believe in that. I really do, but I don't think I've ever seen him. I'll take a look at that when I get home. Thank you for the suggestion. I really appreciate that. I have been trying many different ways to learn how to grow in my garden, from composting food to having worms to using mushrooms and using wood chips to build all that soil. Just really trying to make sure that the garden is healthy and growing, because if you don't have healthy soil, if you don't have rich soil, then your plants are not going to grow. A lot of people think that if you just throw fertilizer at it, it's going to be fine. But a lot of times, no, it's you got to do the right type of fertilizer. Are you growing root vegetables? Are you growing something like peppers that puts fruit on the top of the plant? There's a whole huge laundry list of things that could go wrong in gardening. And so I am an avid learner. I am not a professional in any way, but every year I continue to try, and some years I get it spot on, and some years it's like, oh wow, I really messed that up, let's try again. And so it's been extremely windy here. We had a really, really windy, cold-ish winter. And I say cold-ish because one day it'll be freezing cold, and then the next day it's like, oh, I can wear a t-shirt. And so the wind tore through my cattle panel. I draped the inside of it with greenhouse plastic, and it tore the brand new greenhouse plastic is ripped to shreds. I've mentioned that in my last live. And so I had all my peppers in there because my greenhouse outside was full of other tenders. And so I thought all of my peppers were dead. And I went in there yesterday to feed and water. And lo and behold, because I do take peppers that have been damaged or dried up or rotten on the plant, and I plant them in the soil. And I found 2 pots that I've got baby seedlings coming up already just from me putting peppers in there. So I'm excited about that, because I wasn't sure if any of those peppers are still alive and viable, because they're looking a little sad right now. But I'm hoping to be able to unveil the garden Next week, I'm going to keep an eye on the temperature, and if the temperatures are not going to drop down anymore, then I will take all the winter covering out and begin to finish cutting back any of the death and just start gardening for the springtime, because it is springtime. If you have not said hi to each other in the chat, say hi to each other in the chat. Let me know where you're growing from, if you have a garden and what you're growing. This is just a random Car Chronicles. I'm trying to figure out how to uh, go live on my phone, because I tried it last week 3 times and I was unsuccessful twice. But that last time, after talking to a content creator friend, she was able to help me get through StreamYard and uh, go live on StreamYard. But I'm not using StreamYard today. I'm strictly using YouTube. So I just wanted to talk about that and just random off the top of the head gardening stuff. So are you all working with compost? Are you making compost? Are you vermicomposting? Do you do bokashi? Do you use compost in your garden that you make? Do you buy it? How does that work for you all? I am trying to make compost. I've been making compost for the past 5 years. I've been a vermicomposter with worms for the past probably 4 years, and I thought I wouldn't be very good at composting with worms, because I'm not really a worm kind of girl, but I have been doing relatively well. I did have one hiccup when I moved. I drove from North Texas to South Texas, and I moved here, and so I had my worms in the car with me, and the car got hot. I put the worms in the garage in the temporary house I was living in, and they didn't do well in the temperatures that we had. So I had to replace the worms. But now I know, the worms don't like it too cold. The worms don't like it way hot. So that was the only issue I had with my vermicomposting. And I haven't had very many issues with my compost out back. This year was the first time that I can recall I had a lot more insects in my compost, and I think it was because of the fruit. We ate a lot of fruit last year, and I think it was the fruit. It was just way too sweet, and the fruit, the flies and everything else, the ants were like, ooh, it's brunch time. So I got that under control. I have extended the garden, and I'm continuing to extend the garden. I've got a couple projects I'm trying to work on, but I'm shopping around for some wood, because wood is expensive. I want to build a tiered bucket garden. I found online, well, actually, it was sent to me. One of my gardening friends sent me a video of a gentleman who made a tiered bucket garden, and I have a lot of buckets in my garden, and I want to make those a tiered bucket garden so I can include even more into my garden. So that's something that I'm wanting to work on. I don't know if you all have seen my videos in the past. I have a new shed that I had built in the backyard, so that's allowed me to keep the vast majority of my gardening tools right there in the garden, so that I don't have to schlep all the way to the front in the garage. It makes life a lot easier when I'm trying to build something or take something apart or just use a garden tool. Everything is right there. That's something that I learned. That's a lesson learned in gardening. If your tools are clean and readily available, then for me, it's a lot easier to work in the garden. And if I have less obstacles, I learned that if I have obstacles in the garden, if everything is too close together, if I can't reach something, I have a hard time gardening. So that could be because, getting older, having some dexterity issues sometimes, having issues with mobility. And I know a lot of people have that, which is one of the reasons why I grow in containers now. I'm branching off growing into the ground, but I'm not going to have a lot of stuff in the ground, because where I live in between farms, and they're just now selling off a lot of the farmland over here. And so I've come to realize there's rats over here, and so I think we've done away with that. I haven't seen them. I haven't seen any evidence of any rats, but I also have 3 cats that visit my garden, so they could be the reason why. I'm not sure. I hope that's the case. I hope they're gone. But last year there was an issue with bunnies and rats. I found a baby bunny in the backyard, and everything that I put in the ground, corn, okra, roselle, um, what did I put? Turmeric, ginger. They would eat all the tops of everything. So it was difficult to grow for me in the ground. But I am trying to put a couple things in the ground. I'm having, of course, to cover it up until it gets large enough to where I guess it's not interesting for the bunnies or the rats to go and try to nibble it. So we'll see. I'm going to put a couple things in the ground. I've already put some stuff in the ground. I have baskets over those things right now, and I'm hoping that as the weather continues to warm, it will begin to emerge. We shall see. I had this big, beautiful castor bean plant. I just cut the tops of that off this past weekend. I was going to dig it out and take the roots and everything away, but I realized only the top of it died off. It is not dead. So it is going to emerge again in the same spot, which I was not expecting because the packet, when I bought it, said that it was an annual. But I believe because where I live and because our temperatures are a lot warmer here, that it is now a perennial in my area. The top will die back and then it will spring back up when it's ready. I'm also finding that some of the seeds that the wind blew began to germinate. So I was pulling those babies out and disposing of those. And if I found any seeds on the ground, I've been collecting those and harvesting those for my Etsy store. And I'm hoping that they didn't blow into my neighbor's yard because there's a great possibility that happened. So my neighbor could actually have a castor bean or two or three growing in his yard next year. So we shall see how that works out. That was not the plan, but the wind was ferocious. So that is what I was wanting to come on and do today, was just, try to attempt to do a live on the phone since I was unsuccessful twice with the YouTube live access. I'm not going to hold anybody up. I want to thank everyone who joined in the chat today, even the heckler. I appreciate everyone coming in. I would really appreciate it if people weren't rude and obnoxious, but that's just the way that's the way people are sometimes. But we're not here for that, any of that. So thank you to everyone who joined and who left a thumbs up, who left a comment. I greatly appreciate you all, and I hope that this live was not too much of a here, there, and everywhere kind of a live, because like I said, it was just random, just trying to help myself do better with lives, because I do plan on trying to attempt to do at least one live a month. Could be more, could be I do random pop-up car chronicle lives like this one. We shall see how the future goes. So until the next time, thank you very much for joining me. If you have not hit that like button, hit that like button, leave me a comment. Let me know where you are growing from. I am zone 9A. And so I hope to see you all again. Bye for now. Now I got to figure out how to turn this live off because y'all, I'm coming to a stop sign and I'll be able to do that. Because you shouldn't be texting and driving. And even though I am driving, I'm trying to be very safe. I have not been looking at the phone and I haven't read any of the messages until I've come to a full stop. So until then, bye y'all.